Did you know that 81% of data breaches are caused by weak password security? Keeper Security's easy-to-use password manager platform keeps your passwords safe, easy to share, and out of reach of cybercriminals. Keeper is the leading cybersecurity platform for preventing password-related data breaches and cyber threats. Check out Keeper and get a free 3-year Keeper Password Manager solution when you take a demo of Keeper for Business. Learn more at securityweekly.com/Keeper Security. Wide-scale adoption of cloud applications, an increase in remote workers, and expansion of branch offices has rendered the centralized, on-premises security model impractical. Enter Cisco Umbrella. Umbrella now includes secure web gateway, firewall, and cloud access security broker functionality, plus integration with Cisco SD-WAN, all delivered from a single cloud security service. It helps businesses of all sizes secure their network and extend protection to roaming users and branch offices. Security doesn't have to be complicated. Get simple, smart, and powerful security with Cisco Umbrella. Visit securityweekly.com/Cisco Umbrella to learn more.
Welcome back to Enterprise Security Weekly. If you missed any of our previously recorded webcasts or technical trainings, they are available for your viewing pleasure at securityweekly.com/on-demand. All right, for our second interview today, very excited to have Chris Cochran here today. He joins us to discuss the relevance of threat intelligence and threat hunting today and how they work together, though we're probably going to discuss some other stuff as well. He's a really interesting guy. He's a founder and producer at Hacker Valley Media, former Marine Corps Intelligence, former NSA, Mandiant, Netflix, World's Most Interesting Man, creative director of media at Exonius, creator of the Easy Framework, and you know, another framework that he's put together as well for career-minded folks. Fellow security tinkerer, part-time CISO therapist, Renaissance man, basically. Welcome to the show, Chris.
Thanks for the introduction. You make it seem like I do a lot of stuff, but really I don't do anything.
I didn't mention dancing or chess. You know, come on, man. All the books.
I have a ridiculous amount of things that I do on a daily basis.
But mostly you sit around on a microphone and talk to people, and you call it a job. I might know.
Yeah,
I might know
weird,
this.
right?
Yeah.
Like who would do that? Only weirdos
weird people do
stuff
that.
like that.
But I think it's interesting because it's kind of by design, right? You know, I think that's one of the things that's neat that you do is, you know, you can do the job, you know, but then you look and you think what else can I do? You know, what else is missing here? What could take this to the next level?
Clearly,
right?
dancing takes that to the next level.
Yeah, dancing does help. But really, I would say the main thing that really inspired me to start speaking about some of the stuff that I talk about on the podcast and in talks is really just going to different security operations centers and just seeing how beat down folks are from alert fatigue, from being reactionary. And I was thinking, like, what is something that I can do to help inspire folks to do their best work, to get excited about cybersecurity again? And that's really why we do half the stuff that we do in Hacker Valley. And so I think about what are the things that would pique people's performance, their interest in cybersecurity, and get everybody excited again.
Yeah, so you know, I guess we could dive right into it. We could talk about your Easy framework here, and this is one of those things where, you know, talking about threat intelligence and stuff like that is enough. But you know, I love that you put together a framework, you know, that, you know, isn't just a prescriptive framework on, you know, here's how you gather it, here's how you implement it. You know, it doesn't tell you necessarily specifically what to do with the data. It's more of a thinking model of how you should go through the process and think through the process, you know, which I think often gets lost in security, where, you know, people go through the motions and they kind of lose the point sometimes of, you know, is anything I'm doing actually creating value or useful for anything, or am I just looking through, you know, piles of alerts every day?
Yep, absolutely. And I'll tell you exactly where it came from. It came from me needing to go back to my basics, go back to my own past in threat intelligence. I moved from the East Coast to the West Coast to be part of the Netflix family. I was leading threat intelligence over there. And at this point, I'd been doing threat intelligence for maybe 10 years or something like that. And when I get there, everything was different, right? For the majority of my career, I'd been with East Coast companies, solving big, giant organizations that have been around for a really long time. And here I am dropped into a completely different type of environment with different processes, completely different technology, very cloud native, and didn't even have like the sort of the quote unquote regular security stuff, right? Very engineering focused, which I think is the direction that a lot of security teams are going now. But at the time, it was completely foreign to me. I was like, whoa, everything is just engineering based, not so much operations based. And so I almost had to go back to the drawing board. I'm like, what the heck? All like 70% of my prior experience is out the window. What can I do to make an impact in this organization? Because obviously they brought me over here for a reason. What can I do that's going to up the game of the Netflix security posture? And so I just went back to, what do I tell everybody when I was a consultant? We focused on the EASY framework is an acronym, so it's easy to remember. E is elicit requirements. One of the things that I was immediately going into, that bias, was what were the requirements that I needed to do for other companies? If you come in with those requirements, that means you're not doing your due diligence and speaking to the stakeholders at that company. Sit down, have a conversation with the different folks, whether it's vulnerability management, whether it's a threat hunting team, incident response team, some of the execs, even folks that aren't even in the security org, and really understand what are their needs from a threat intelligence perspective. Once you kind of understand that, you go to that A, which is that assess your collection plan, right? And a lot of folks are focused on the external information, but you really have to understand internal information as well, because some of that information is more relevant than the external stuff. So where are you going to get all your information from? Where are your high leverage threat feeds coming from? How do you evaluate those threat feeds for relevancy and impact for your own organization? Then the most important thing about this entire framework is that S, which is that strive for impact. I can't begin to tell you how many threat intelligence programs I've evaluated or been a part of where there wasn't an emphasis on striving for that impact. We were great at giving information. We were great at putting out weekly intelligence reports so people hear about the latest and greatest threats. But how do you move that needle for that security posture? How do you start to close out gaps? How do you improve protections across your entire organization? And then finally, that Y is yield to feedback, where you're going to get that feedback from the stakeholders. Because if you're not having those conversations about, did the thing I produce provide you with any impact to your work? Were you able to make a decision or take an action that would increase our security posture? And if not, you have to go back to the drawing board and figure out what information do you need to provide and how. So really, that's just the touchstone that I give people so they know how to take something that's intelligence, something that often historically was looked at as not operational, and have it be something that makes an impact for folks.
And I love that the why there, the feedback piece comes all the way back around, creates a closed feedback loop where, again, you're thinking about those requirements. Yep. At the E stage, the elicit requirement stage, did I get that right? Did I get it perfect? Probably
Yes.
not, your first time out. So you're constantly improving your process here where, I don't know about you, but, a lot of the issues I've seen is that you look busy, so people are happy. You're giving them a report. They're happy that they're getting a report. They don't actually read the report, but it feels like work is happening and work is getting done. So people are generally, kind of happy with that, right? At some organizations.
Yeah, and that's not good for anybody.
Not Netflix, though.
Yeah, all right. if you're doing work and you're just busy, but you're not seeing the impact, it's almost like mowing a lawn and none of the grass is getting cut. Like how insane would that drive somebody? So, being able to see the market difference of your input, that's where that job satisfaction for any threat intelligence analyst is going to come from.
Yeah. So, some of what, this is something that's fairly foreign to me. I've never really been in an organization, that had people dedicated to doing this kind of stuff. Threat intel was always something just in time, kind of a just in time activity to kind of put a rosy label on it. But we grabbed it when we needed it. We went out and got it when we needed it. But what does that workflow look like? In organizations, are there different threat hunters separated from the people curating the threat intel? Are they sharing those hats in a lot of cases? What does that workflow look like in some of these organizations?
Yeah, for each organization is going to be very different. A lot of folks, like you said, they don't have the budget for a dedicated threat intelligence analyst. They don't have a budget for a dedicated threat hunter. So the folks that are like your tier 3 SOC, security operations center folks, they're doubling as intelligence. They're the hunters. They're a little bit of everything. So what that looks like when you start to have to share resources is you want to automate as much as you can possibly automate. So using that intelligence, using what is super important internal to your organization, where your crown jewels, critical assets, what is the data around them? What are we looking for that might be off or suspicious? And then we set up detections, right? So I led detection and response for a company. That was our main goal, was to get everything to a detection, because you can hunt, but you don't want to spend your time hunting for the same thing over and over again. You eventually want to take something that is a hypothesis from a threat hunt perspective and then automate it. So then you no longer have to look with human eyes. You have machines doing the work for you. So if you are constrained on those resources, take the intelligence that's going to be relevant for your organization, maybe even for your industry, and then apply that to your security operations. Give that information to the hunters or yourself if you're doing it part-time, to then start that hypothesis for the hunt and then figure out a way to turn that into a detection. You might have to write your own detection. You might have to lean on your vendors to detect on certain things within your environment, but really is being as efficient and effective as you can with the resources that you have.
Yeah, so you've almost got another framework around that, where you're researching, you're playing with ideas. You find something has value, you develop it, you build it, put it into production, and it's operationalized, it's automated, right?
Yep, that's it.
Yeah. So another question here, and I'll open it up more for Paul and Bill here. Johnny, if you could throw up the pyramid of pain, please. This thing is about a decade.
I thought this was like the pyramid for the security onion, because when I looked at it, and I'm implementing security onion, recently and still working on it, I was like, a lot of this overlaps and is pretty spot on in terms of the challenging and all that stuff.
So David Bianco's pyramid of pain, I think it's almost a decade old now. It might have been 2012, 2013 when he came up with this. I kind of, interested to get your opinion here, Chris, if things have gotten easier now that we have MITRE focusing on TTPs and kind of curating them. They're testing EDR products now against known actor TTPs and stuff like that. It seems like MITRE's created a lot of really useful stuff. Some of the tools out there, we didn't have EDR back then, are better at kind of pulling out this higher level stuff you see towards the top of the pyramid. In your eyes, is it getting better to do some of this? Is this pyramid less painful than it was in 2013?
So and someone correct me if I'm wrong, the main purpose of the pyramid of pain is showing that if you're an attacker, changing these things, that's how painful something is. So for me as an attacker to change my IP address, super easy. But for me to completely change my attack vector is very, very difficult. I mean, that could be months of research. That could be months of dissecting a particular technology. An entire TTP, if it's blocked, I have to go to the drawing board as an attacker. So from that standpoint, it's still very much the same. It's still very much the same for any attacker to just completely change their TTP. From a threat intelligence perspective, keeping track of these things and being able to operationalize it, MITRE has been brilliant, because that was really the first framework that I saw that really encapsulated not just what are the orders of attack or what is that kill chain, but what are the many avenues an adversary can take in order to affect my technology stack, my organization. So that I sung their praises. I think it was about 2015 when I first found out about it. I think it was still relatively in draft form back when I read it, but I wrote the creators and I said, this is game changing, because when you look at things from a TTP perspective, you're no longer playing whack-a-mole. When I was doing threat intelligence full time, one of the toughest things out there is doing indicator management, looking at those hashes, looking at IP addresses and even domains over and over and over again, and then making sure that, you know, you don't keep something blocked for too long, because things change so often. Now it's something that's a mission requirement. You go from something that was serving up ransomware, and then all of a sudden now it's one of the things that you need to keep your business alive. So that whole rigmarole was tough. But the more you can focus on the TTP focused things, which is difficult for those analysts to do, but it's the most impactful thing that you can do. And so you want to put your money where your mouth is when it comes to TTPs. You want to be able to start to look at your protections from that lens.
Yeah, and also sharing, you know, having that common framework. You know, I can tell you, hey, I'm seeing T1234 on my network, and you know what I'm talking about. I don't have to explain it to you. I don't have to spend time doing that.
Right, 100%.
So shifting here a little bit, you know, I think it's really interesting. You know, back to the fact that you're running these podcasts, and you know, really excited when I saw you get this role at Exonius. I know Nate and some of the folks over there. You know, and they've always, you know, I think had more marketing game than some other folks. They definitely try some different things. They're very open to trying more creative stuff. So what is that like? You know, this creative director of media, it isn't a role we often see at InfoSec vendors.
Yeah, we wanted to try something different, and I couldn't think of a better group of folks to do it with. As you said, Nate and the entire marketing team, they're looking to do things completely different, right? They have some aspirational goals that they're trying to hit, and the only way to do that is to do things that other people can't do or aren't willing to do. And so they saw Ron Eddings and myself as practitioners. We've spent a long time in the industry, but we've also spent a lot of time and dedication into bettering our craft when it comes to podcasting, when it comes to videos and live streams. So how do you take that and package it up in a way that is beneficial for the community and also beneficial for the business? And so I'm almost like this creative director / cybersecurity advocate, where now my full time is being able to speak to the practitioners, to the leaders of cybersecurity, and convey new information, ways of doing things. Really, my entire passion is being able to, like we were talking about in the beginning, those folks were on the SOC floor that were completely inundated with alerts. They felt down on themselves. I wanted to inject that inspiration, that empowerment at scale. We were doing Hacker Valley as a part-time thing, and it was great that we were still able to be practitioners and do our work there, but we felt like we might be better served as that voice for the community, as the people that are helping to inspire people all day long versus just on nights and weekends. So now we have this opportunity to really scale ourselves and make as much of an impact as we think we can.
Paul, Bill, sorry, I've kind of taken most of the time here.
As somebody who's spent his life in media, I'm always fascinated by the leap when somebody goes from the technical in the trenches business of security to really getting in front of the camera and doing the media aspect. So for you, you know, I've been watching you for a long time, Chris, and it seems easy. It seems like when I'm watching, it seems like it's easy for you. I'm sure that's never 100% the case. What's the biggest challenge been for you kind of making that shift? Which is, I agree with you, vitally important, because you can build the greatest technology on earth to solve problems, but if you can't communicate its value and how it works and how to use it properly, nothing else really matters. So
yeah, absolutely.
I think that was a statement and a question.
One of the things that I'm struggling with even today, and I'm sure I'm going to struggle for years to come, is that our field is so rapidly changing. How do I keep my skills from atrophying? And one of the things that we really are trying to do now is we're trying to make even more complex pieces of content simple for other people. So Ron Eddings quite often says, like, if you teach it, you get to learn it twice. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to take like things that people don't even think about doing, like zero trust or chaos engineering. And so how do we boil that down so simply that people that have no idea what that stuff is can understand it and then start to implement it in their organization? So I know I'm not going to be so much in the trenches, being reactive, being that firefighter. Now our goal is to inspire and educate those firefighters to do their work every single day. So that's the silver lining for us is we're going to continue to do research. We're going to continue to talk to the people that are in the trenches, the best people in the world that are doing this stuff, and then sharing those nuggets of wisdom with everybody. So that's probably the biggest challenge, is not having that hands-on stuff anymore. But thankfully, we'll be talking every single day to the people that are.
Chris, also, like, really interesting choice of suit jacket with t-shirt. I just wondered what was going through your head this morning. I mean, I like it. I'm not I like it.
I get dressed in the dark, so I never know quite what I put on when I get out. No, this has always been my style. In fact, when I went to Cyber Command, straight out of the military, I said, I've been wearing a uniform pretty much my entire adult life. So what am I going to wear when I go to work? And I started with t-shirt and jacket. And people were like, wow, that's an interesting combination. That's interesting that he's doing that. Then I go to Netflix and I see that the CEO is doing the t-shirt and jacket. Nice. I see the CEO, the chief content officer is wearing a t-shirt and jacket. So I was like, oh man, this must be like a Silicon Valley thing that I kind of stumbled upon. And so now that's just been my uniform. If you look at our podcast art, t-shirt and jacket, that's my uniform. And of course I got to rep the Hacker Valley logo with anything that I wear. Nice. And so, that's what I'm wearing.
I think I know what I'm wearing tomorrow on the show.
I just keep my wardrobe stocked with black shirts. That way
there you go.
I can get up in the dark and not have to worry about it. It's the same every day.
All right, Chris, thank you for spending time with us today, for dropping some knowledge and wisdom on us here. Easy Framework, Chris's other stuff, you can find that at hackervalley.com, Hacker Valley Studios. Chris, thank you so much for joining us on Enterprise Security Weekly today.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure. Everyone take it easy.
Thanks for all you do.
All right, next up, we go over the latest enterprise security news. Stay tuned.